here today with impact leaders, with Fast Forward 2030, with the partnership with ChangeNOW, which is the biggest entrepreneurial type summit in the world, on all things impact. And we have Nohelia Rambal with us, which is the founder of DoGooders, and we have Agnes Sacco, who is one of the board members at Fast Forward 2030 and also a founder. And then Agnes, again, just quickly, maybe if you want to do your 2-sentence introduction, because you are also an impact founder and entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, JP. So I'm a co-founder and managing director of Airx. We are a smart home. We developed a smart home solution to help fighting fuel poverty and climate change. So basically an energy efficiency device that we developed, a piece of hardware and a piece of software as well. And we are predominantly selling into social housing sector on the verticals of energy efficiency and fuel poverty. Yes, and also I'm wearing a different hat as well today, because the also part of the board membership with the Fast Forward 2030, and both Charlie and I have been in close contact with the ChangeNOW organizers, and yeah, JP has a really good experience from a few years ago with the ChangeNOW festival, but yeah, we're here to answer questions about it. And I've already got some ideas of which categories you would be fitting into with your product, Nohelia.
Amazing, thank you.
Amazing. And then we have the super Charlie Stott, who is also with us. And Charlie, you want to do a quick intro maybe? And then if you don't mind, just also tell Nohelia and people that are listening about Fast Forward 2030.
Sure. So I coordinate the London branch of Fast Forward 2030. There's also a branch in Lebanon and a branch in Kenya. And we're hosted by a research institute at University College London called the IGP, the Institute for Global Prosperity. And we basically exist to promote and kind of research a narrative about policy, which is that we shouldn't be just focusing on economic growth and GDP. We should be focusing on well-being and sustainability and health. And yeah, so the director of the IGP started Fast Forward 2030 with a few entrepreneurs like Agnes and JP in order to promote the use of business as a force for good.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Charlie. And that is basically, so we're supporting entrepreneurs. And one way we do it is through the community called Impact Founders. And Nohelia is one of them, and Agnes is one of them. And I was just going to say, so it's Nohelia Rambal for those people listening, and Agnes Sacco. And Sacco, just in case, is C-Z-A-K-O, because it's maybe for the spelling, it's always useful to find you when people Google. And Nohelia, okay, so quickly, if you want to ask us then, do you want to tell you about the event, or do you want to just go straight to the application if you have any specific questions? Or
well, I'm happy to also get an intro to the event. I have seen what is on the website. It looks amazing. I wish I could have been there. But yeah, I would say a little intro to the event, and then definitely about the pitching application.
Perfect. And because you're also, recording this, so hopefully we'll, potentially we can put it in the website, Charlie, which would be nice. But it was founded by Santiago Lefebvre and Rosemary Lucote and Kevin Tayebali, if I pronounce those correctly. But basically, amazing people. They set up a couple of years ago. It's an incredible event. It went from, I think, if I remember correctly, 1,500 people to like 7,000 when I was there in Paris 2 years ago, and then to like 20,000 last year. But it's like truly the most amazing event, a group of people for all sorts of reasons, and we went with the community that I co-founded, Impact Founders, that time. There were about 5 founders, and some of them actually got some interest and some money and some partnership with some cities. And yes, I highly recommend it for people to join. I think it's going to be virtual / in person this year. Last year was incredible. It was in the famous palace in France, and then this year I think it's still to be decided. But the network and the group of people around it is unique, and in this case, specifically important to you really is the investor side. So you get to pitch You know, like I think we quoted that last year they had about over 500 investors, and then they ended up committing like 500 million euros. So, you know, getting 250K, you know, with the right proposition, I think that it should be, you know, possible. So
Fingers crossed.
yeah. So yeah, any questions?
No, sounds great.
Perfect. And then basically just maybe just jump into any questions you have about the, I guess, application, and then I don't know if you want to jump with some specific questions. I don't know if you looked at the application, or maybe Agnes, if you want to jump in and share, you know, what you've been thinking about already.
Just a couple of thoughts on this year's event. So also what the organizers were emphasizing is that it's partly, so if you're pitching with a solution, then it's partly an opportunity for getting investor traction. As JP mentioned, there were about 500 investors the last time, so they are trying to even increase that investor pool. So I think out of that 20,000 participants, there was about 5% of them investors, but now it's likely to be slightly higher, so towards 10%. So partly impact investing, but also corporate partnerships. So there will be a lot of corporate participants who would be interested in various solutions as part of their CSR policy. So if you mentioned you're working with 600 brands, so if you think that some corporate partners would be interested, it might be worthwhile to tailor the pitch that it could be both an investor but also a client-facing pitch, or a little bit of a hybrid one. So that's what expected, and basically they have various different categories within the impact solutions category, and I think you might be fitting into the circular economy or the sustainable materials and products. But yeah, that's the initial suggestions. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Right, I'll go through it in more detail. Probably the sustainable materials, although yeah, it might be that I'm broader than that. I don't know if you can select a few different categories, but yeah, it sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, there is some description areas where you can add some things as well. So
amazing. So yeah, if any other background info that it might be interesting for me to know, before I jump in and actually read more about it.
I don't know, anything from your side, Agnes? Anything else that?
So other than the only thing might be worth mentioning, but we're just yet to find out the final details about it, is that there is also going to be a booth opportunity. So not just the pitching, but also a potential exhibiting. Now, having said that, it will have to be all converted to a digital format. So details and pricing, etc., are yet to be confirmed. But yeah, that's also another option to raise awareness.
Yeah,
of your solution.
Right. Amazing. Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think once you go to that link in the website, which is again for people that are listening, but I think I put it on the description as well, which is www.changenow.world/pitch, and there actually you can see a bit more information around, you know, what you get pre-event, in the event, post-event, and some ideas around trying to again address, you know, one of the SDGs, you know, some clear KPIs, kind of viable business model, which I think, you know, for the sounds of it, you already have, and be innovative around rethinking the standards and the potential to scale, which, you know, yours, obviously, you can, you know, totally. One thing I was going to say before, perhaps I didn't answer, is about the view on founders, you know, solo founders, co-founders.
Yes, please.
That's basically a question you had before, right? I have a stand on it personally. You know, I think that it doesn't stop you, you know, to be a solo founder at all, as long as you realize, you know, what you are missing in terms of the needs, you know, be, you know, technical side in terms of building a platform, because, you know, what you have really is a platform, right? So how do you get, you know, the CTO from Money Supermarket to come and work with you, you know? So if I'm an investor and you say, well, I'm actually the sole proprietor 100%, And then actually I have these people that are coming on board, or this one that I have lined up, to solve for this specific. That's the key, I think. I always talk about puzzles and how you can build the puzzle of what you need, what you're really good at, and then how you're gonna I don't want to say compensate, but how you're gonna solve for the other parts.
That gap. Yeah,
that's the way I look at it.
absolutely.
But obviously, it hasn't stopped you, right? So that's I think that's brilliant. It just shows that you are managing well without having that co-founder.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, yeah, it's basically been down to choosing tools that allow me to do what I need to do without knowing tech. As you rightly pointed, my background is in marketing, so there hasn't been much that I could build myself. I have the vision, but I haven't got the tools. So far, I just chose tools that allowed me to do that. So templated, ready-made kind of websites, kind of thing. And it's a great suggestion about kind of telling them how you plan to build that team, and being very honest and open about, well, my gaps are these, but this is how I'm planning to fill them. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, and I'd be always, it's something that I think I bring it from investment banking, but it's around kind of risk, right? So where are the risks? But then the messaging and the wording is always very important. So it's about this is what I have done, this is what needs to be done, and this is how I'm gonna and with whom. I always go these basics. Today I had a conversation with a big client, and they're going through that pitching, and it's the kind of the what, the who, the how, the why, first of all, right? When, etc. So just go back to basic. Awesome. And then yes, because like you can try to find a co-founder forever, and it just becomes an excuse for many people, and they just procrastinate. I mean, Agnes, you have a co-founder.
Yeah, so it's also a slightly different setup because we were also a spin out from an incubator, so it's a slightly unusual setup. Right. However, what I was going to say is that it's also such a powerful combination that you are a female founder and a solo founder at the same time. And I'm just sending something to the chat, which is basically it's might be worthwhile looking at. It's a combination, a list of over 350 VCs that are specifically looking at female founders, which is would be very interesting.
Oh, I love this. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Charlie, if you want, you can like just put that one on the fast forward Twitter as well, as a copy and paste, and put it maybe, or just retweet my tweet and then put it in there. Yes, and that's fascinating. Thank you so much, Agnes. I think that's a really good point. About just and
that's exactly what I meant when I said I hear so many like contradicting stories. Like there was one of these funding readiness courses I took, and this was VCs speaking to us and saying, absolutely, you need a team, and definitely you need to start your pitches by talking about the team. And it was so much of a focus on who is your team, who is with you. And to be honest, as a founder that is pre-seed, the only way I can get someone in my team is by being a co-founder, right? So going back to your point, like how long do I procrastinate until you find the right co-founder for each of the areas that you need to fill the gap on, whereas just go get the money and then you can hire people. It's that constant, like how much do I wait for the right person to join me, for maybe some shares while we get some funding to pay each other a salary. And it's just a conversation that I suppose there is not right or wrong. I really admire people that went out and found the right people to join them early enough. But it's also, you can't really wait forever for that to happen.
Yes, and each case that you say, each case is personal, right? So I have had co-founders in different companies, right? And they all happen in different ways. They all went in different ways. Some pre-launch, some after launch. Even like sometimes after maybe a couple of years, you realize that you just don't share the same values and you don't go the same way. So I think that again, I just applaud you because you haven't stopped and waited. So that's the most important thing. So then the next thing for me is just understanding and learning, where you need to go and and yeah, people have all sorts of opinions, but I'm hoping that my opinion makes you realize that it's just
Oh,
up to
definitely,
how you
yeah.
manage it, you know.
Yeah, it definitely reassures. Thank you, JP.
Awesome.
That's great.
Awesome.
The other thing that popped in my mind on the same subject is that often mentioning the advisory board. So even if it's someone on your board who is just jumping in on a once-a-month basis or only just showing up for the board meeting, but you wouldn't have the budget to pay for that person, that's still very, very powerful to shout out about advisory board members.
That's great. Yeah, I'm actually putting it together at the moment as well. I had one that wasn't that formal, so I'm trying to work on something more formal that we can actually, and also pick the people, right? So if I was just whoever wanted to help, I would just like add them to my advisory team. And I've realized, no, I actually need to go and find the people I need in my advisory team. So it's always, I mean, help is always welcome, but being more strategic about it will get me that, as you say, that advantage of having, you know, drop names on my advisory board that will actually mean something for investors. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you.
I'm loving this. Thank you. And nice conversation, nice points. And on the back of that, all I would say is about when you go and talk to people, especially potential board members, is not around like going and asking, "Oh, can you be my board member?" It's more about just getting to meet people. I mean, I'm sure you know this, Nohelia, but it's about like, what can you do for them first, and then, by the way, you know someone, you know, rather than, you know, well, I don't know. There's two takes on that. Sometimes you can just be, I don't know, Agnes, have you had experience? But you can go straight forward and say like, oh, you could be an advisor if you like to, but you always have to kind of build a relationship a little bit.
Yes, once I also have that confidence that this person actually can add a really good value, either from sector expertise or network. So it's also a mutual, rather than just name drops.
Cool. I mean, I'm still good to go, by the way. It's 2:30. We're just going to go for half an hour, but again, just double checking in terms of the specific of the application, really, if you had anything else you wanted to ask, Nohelia.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a go, and if anything, I'll just drop you guys a line on the group or directly. But it sounds great. Thank you so much.
Perhaps let me just double check the one thing that I thought about, which is like, and if I look at your website, oops, what did I do? Was around the SDG. So what SDG do you promote?
Number 12.
The 12.
Yeah, responsible consumption and production. So that's why I thought that second one that was mentioned about sustainable materials might be the one that, yeah, because I mean, obviously I have brands that do a lot more, you know, social impact. So I could tie myself to other different SDGs, but I feel like that is the main one. That's the one that I promote, right? Like I promote brands that do the right thing to society and the environment, and therefore I promote that responsible consumption and the responsible production of those brands and their products and services. So yeah, and you know, depending on what I'm applying for, etc., I tone that up or down depending on, you know, like the impact and the SDGs, etc. And yeah, the website is having a massive kind of content redo, so it will be more obvious. At the moment, it's just part of one paragraph in the About Us page.
Yeah, all I would say, you know, I mean, this is just me, you know, I'm for those that cannot see, I have a pin of the
Yes.
right, but I think for the sake, just as part of creating awareness, I always tell people just put either the whole circle, ideally also, you know, your specific SDG, you know, because it's all part of generating awareness. So definitely,
Absolutely.
it's on your website, you don't have it, so have that,
Yeah.
and then in the presentation, you know, just to explain to people, you know, what you're focusing on, why, and then how do you measure in terms of, you know, what generates or how you're affecting it?
Yeah, to be honest, it's early days. I have started taking feedback from the brands, trying to see how I have supported them get new clients, but it's early days in terms of me having actual numbers I can speak about. Apart from, I know that how many brands I have listed, therefore how many of them I'm helping get discovered by new customers. And then on the other side, I have my traffic numbers. So I know for a fact that last year, 12,000 people went and navigated more than one page on my website. So I can say, well, I help around that amount of number of people find a new sustainable brand. Right. So
number of brands, number of people engage, kind of connecting.
Yeah, visiting and using the
right?
platform. Yeah.
And you have the next link. So the next link, when they go to their brands.
I am in the process of building that. Yes, I'm in the process of building that. It's not as easy to track it as it might sound. Yeah. So we're tracking it, but I don't think we're there still to report it. But yeah, we're building that. I just literally last week engaged someone to do some analytics for us, because that's the thing, right? Like if I have to do it, it'll probably take 3 more months until I prioritize it.
And then the other thing I was going to say is that, but that's fine, because it's the same as, applies to the co-founder of having the people in terms of your product roadmap or your impact measurement in a way, right? Is part of that. So you say like, this is what we want to do next, and some of the money is actually going to be for that as well. So at least you know kind of where you want to go and how you're going to spend that money.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I have a nice list of things I want money to spend on. That's the easy part.
And then I was just going to flag as well, so just so you keep in mind. So they ask about how you're gonna expand. I think that's one of the points. They ask like, what are the countries you're thinking about afterwards? So like the large edition, I think. And then again, just about your profile. Definitely on number 7, actually, you have the kind of, or you're going to be able to mention a few here in terms of accelerators and networks that you work with. So kind of the social validation of it. Cool.
Makes sense.
I think you seem to be having it all. Now it's just blocking the time to do it.
I know, which